We're going to talk about discernment today. Open forum, but we got to wait for notifications to go out, and we're wearing our Broken Flesh t-shirt and my expensive $6,000 Kenworth hat. It's kind of crooked. Hats always are crooked. I think I've got a crooked head. So, anyways, good morning. It's Saturday. We have our coffee going on. And yeah, we'll talk about discernment. And I've got the knife of the day to show you whenever anybody comes in here. And that's it. So, see if anybody pops in here. So, anyways. Oh, we finally got a couple of people in here. Excellent. Excellent. Waiting for notifications to go out. I have not received the notification yet. Oh, there it is. There it is, finally. Alright, so turn that down. Oh, man. Chief Free Hauler, good morning. Desiree Pam, good morning. Marty, what's up? Marty says, looking forward to the next 10 jam sessions. My name is Nobody. Morning. Never enough. Morning, sir. Good day, best dispatcher ever, says WCF Invader. I don't know how he does it, but he finds killer lows for me each time I reach out. Appreciate you, boss. Oh, there's been a few times I have not been able to help you. What's going on this morning, Chief Freight Hauler? What is going on this morning? Want to see a new knife I got? I basically got it for free. It's called the CRKT Minimalist. This thing is super sharp. This is pretty cool. It's known as a neck knife, but I ain't wearing anything around my neck. You know, when I was a little kid, I had to wear a necklace that said allergic to penicillin. And I hated that thing. And I think that's why I'm not a big jewelry fan. Like, I'm not even wearing my wedding ring. My wedding ring's kind of screwed up. It got bent, and it's super loose because of the weight loss I've had. So the wife and I are supposed to be going shopping soon to replace it, but we just haven't done it yet. But anyways, this is why I don't wear this around my neck. You're supposed to put a little cord, like do, and that way, if you just pull it up, right? I almost stabbed myself, so there's that. But basically, I had a coupon at the local Bass Pros, and it was essentially free. And then I bought this off of Whatnot. It's a little karambit style. This thing is perfect for breaking down boxes and all that. So that's my knife minute for the day. There's other than that, dispatch was pretty tough this week. Brokers are driving rates down. Well, shippers, brokers, the situation is taking the rates down. We finished. It was an eventful week. We finished our 40-day carnivore journey. Well, the video journey, but I'm still in it. I'm still in this. So today and tomorrow are going to be challenging. Well, tomorrow mainly. Tomorrow we're going to some. It's my wife's best friend's grandbaby. We're going to their birthday party, and he is turning 3. And of course there'll be cake. The cake doesn't tempt me. It's the fact that I'll probably go all day without eating. So, I've been hitting the fasting thing pretty good. I've been at I was at 276 this morning, so our weight loss is still trending down. I had somebody sarcastically commented on one of my videos about how I'm the picture of health. I'm like, yeah, that's sarcasm. I know I'm not the picture of health. If I was a picture of health, I probably wouldn't, well, I wouldn't have had to do a 40-day carnivore journey video. But, it's interesting, right? So let's see. We had the review. Yeah, we don't need that. Let's see. Top of the morning, Full of the Woods. What's up, man? Just did a video on my 40-day journey. Excellent. I will have to watch it. I'm too clumsy to have knives. You know what's funny is, it's not a guy I follow, but it's a guy named Stasa. But his stuff comes up in my feeds all the time, and both him and that Melissa outdoor chick, they're always showing off knives with band-aids, like they constantly like cut themselves. And what I have found in the knife community is that these things are basically adult fidget spinners. You know, I've talked about this story before, but I'll say it again. So I went to this event at the local knife store, Springfield EDC, which is a great store. And they had this basically show and tell and swap meet kind of thing. And all the younger knife people, like half my age, the only things that they were interested in were the Spyderco and Microtech OTFs and flip knives, and they literally just sit there and flip, you know, like there's 3 ways to flip a knife, you know, and you know, bally songs are, you know, the same way, gravity knives are the same way. They're fidget spinners for adults. Well, the problem is when you're spending like $600 for a knife and it's razor sharp and you're using it as a fidget spinner, well, guess what? You're going to cut your hand a little bit, probably. I know the first OTF I bought, I cut my hand. So, it's interesting to see, because the really cool fixed blades that I liked and the custom stuff that I like is of no interest to these young ones. And so these knife companies, what they do is they make these things super expensive, super addictive to collect, like Hot Wheels, right? And next thing you know, you got a full case of $300-$400 knives that you wouldn't dare open packages with. You wouldn't dare beat them to death. And so there's this whole slew of knife influencers that talks about cheap options, you know, the 10 best knives from Walmart and or the 10 cheapest, coolest knives on Amazon, you know, to celebrate, or not celebrate, but to promote their Amazon link, which, you know, I have an Amazon link, whatever, but these are the knives that you want to beat the hell. And what you're noticing is now there's a whole slew of knife influencers that like compare a $500 fixed blade or a folder to a $20 gas station knife. And you know what? There really isn't much difference, except that the $800 knife, you're probably less likely to use that for its intended purposes. Yep, I see your video just went live, TJ. And like, I can't go into a guitar store and pick up a $6,000 or $7,000 guitar, because to me it's like that's just no. Like, do you gig with the $6,000 guitar? Well, maybe if you're rich and famous you do. But I don't know, man. Knives are a utility thing. Are they fun to have? Are they fun? You know, I've got some collectibles, I guess, that never really see the light of day. But to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on them? Nah. See, this was priced at like 20, something, and this thing's sharper than some of the more expensive knives that I've seen. It fits in my pocket. You know, there's not a piece of cardboard that doesn't fear me with that thing. So it's anyways, the knife collecting community is interesting. That's all I'll say, is because I don't see the point of, like, Melissa will sometimes show off these like $1,000 knives, $10,000 knives at some knife show or something. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You know, I'm all about the $20 sharp as hell, buy 10 of them, and you know, if you beat one up, you're good to go. You know, you just grab another one. It's not about the name with me. My wedding band was loose when I got married, but it's tight now. My wife is a good cook. There you go. Randy, John 19, the Bible says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful just to forgive our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. That's a good verse, Randy. Those guys eat cigarette butts out of the ashtray. Okay. Cake. Chill. No one wants to come, you have knives. Okay. Mr. Oil Change, KFC or Popeyes? Neither. Sterling says, I'm here. Parties, panties on. There you go. Sterling, panties off. Mask on 2020. Discernment. So let's talk about discernment. So let's go back to 9/11. All right. When it happened, we all believed it to be a terrorist event. And then as people get digging, now then became the wave of people that believed it was the government. And then you have a wave of people that think that it didn't happen at all, and that it was all made up on TV. And there's another group of people that think it happened with holograms. What do all of these things have in common? Somewhere, you know, they say somewhere in the middle of two lies is the truth. And in my food journey, the book Metabolical talks about this. They talk about how we're inundated with all this information. You know, you got the vegan propaganda, you got the carnivore propaganda, you've got the paleo propaganda, you've got the fasting propaganda, you've got the keto propaganda. Did I say keto twice? Probably, I don't know. And then you've got the major food corporations and their propaganda telling you that the other propaganda is wrong. And at the end of the day, you're so confused. What do? You shut down mentally, and you're just gonna do what you want. And the whole object of all of this is to make you consume, right? And I'm not just talking food. I'm talking, you know, you have YouTubers like Patriot Nurse, Viking Preparedness, that have been telling you that the world's going to end for the last several years. And the prep and go out and buy that cabin in the woods and create a community, which is, it's good advice. But here's the thing. If you want to know how to survive the upcoming struggle, you need to subscribe to my Patreon. You need to buy my $100 course. Now, I'm all about people making money, okay? If you know, that's capitalism at work. But here's the thing. They're using the same fear tactics that keep you from living your best life. And so, Economic Ninja is the same way. You know, people are saying the economy is going to collapse. Well, I believe that's going to happen, but there's literally zero things that you can do about it. You could scream in these echo chambers called YouTube all you want, but you literally have zero control over it. And once you kind of withdraw from the arguments, that's where the gift of discernment enters and say, you know what, this is, if you want to sell security systems, you got to tell everybody about the crime. If you want to sell bad food, you want to tell them how bad good food is, and vice versa. If you want to create distrust, then all you got to do is gaslight. Let me tell you a story. So there was a person I know that had this really bad relationship, really bad girlfriend. And he tried getting away with her a couple of times from her, and essentially she was a huge stalker. Never went as far as getting a what they call it when when they don't want you near somebody, that thing, whatever that is. And restraining order. Yeah, restraining order. So never went that far, but so one day on he took a vacation from work, and he moved out of that chick's house, didn't tell her where he was going, made himself invisible for pretty much a week. Now, what this friend didn't know is that she went to the other friends, and she went to one gal's house and said that you're hiding so and so in the garage. His car is in your garage. You better open it, or else I'm going to kill myself right here on the driveway. And so the gal opens the garage door. Obviously, the person's car is not there. And later on, that guy was finally not able to get away from her. They finally had a confrontation. They made up because the guy had no spine. And then told his girlfriend, stop harassing my friends. And this girlfriend said, I swear this didn't happen. To the point that the next time that gal saw the other gal, I know this is hard to keep up with, in public, she was like, tell so-and-so this didn't happen. Tell so-and-so this didn't happen. To the point that the other person was starting to believe that it didn't happen. What's that called? That's called gaslighting. And so that person goes up to my friend and says, I was told to tell you that it didn't happen, even though it did, but she's pretty convinced that it didn't happen, to the point that I'm almost wondering if my reality has been altered. And think about manipulative relationships. Like if a guy and a girl, the guy tells the girl that she's worth nothing, tells the girl that she's no good, tells the girl that she will literally die if she leaves the house because she can't survive on her own. That's a form of gaslighting. It's a form of fear. It's a form of manipulation. And so when you look at those little tactics that we see in everyday lives and everyday social family situations, when you look at it from a bigger picture, how do you control the masses? How do you get people to buy your products? You have to create the problem so you can create the cure. And learning to be able to, like, people say that the world is flat. People say that the world is round. People say that 9/11 happened. People say that 9/11 didn't happen. There are people that believe that Hiroshima and Nagasaki didn't happen. I was informed of that today. People believe that nukes don't exist. People believe that nukes do exist. And what I found is people are arguing about certain realities that are legit. Like someone actually said eating meat the thing that we've been eating for years and years and years, I mean, thousands of years, is suddenly the reason why we're all fat. But we believed it to be truth because we didn't question it. And so, if you want to manipulate a person or manipulate a mass amount of people, you have to distort the truth. And by distorting truth, what a great tactic is to give you 10 different scenarios and to try to convince you that every single one is true. So you mentally shut down, you buy the products, you consume, even though you can't afford it. There you go. So the gift of discernment becomes an important skill. Tool. I said school, but tool and skill. At the end of the day, sometimes just easier to just shut the news off and look at what's in front of you. Look at the evidence. Look at you can't tell me that a Kit Kat bar or a Subway sandwich is not the reason why I'm overweight. You can't sit there and tell me that sugar is not poison. You can't sit there and tell me that because when you look at us as animals, as living creatures, well, look at your pets. Look at your pets. They're all overweight because they're eating things that they weren't meant to eat. So it's a distortion of reality that becomes tiresome. And so sometimes you just gotta, and look, go in the barns. It's not just video and cell phone, social media. Go into a bookstore, go into a Barnes and Noble, and you'll see the same kind of manipulation. Go to the self-help section, go to the philosophy section, go to this, it's like you could see propaganda and you could see manipulation all over the place. Here's why this $40 book's important. Next thing you know, it's in the bargain bin like 2 years later, and you overpaid for it because it was a crappy book. You have that plus the distractions. You got to have your video games. You got to have your, 100-inch TV and 5 feet from you, and you got to have every video game subscription because without it you can't access all the features. And then you got to have every manga book and every anime, DVD that was, out of Japan. Some limited series that's not even translated, and look at the comic book industry. There's so many, you can't keep up with it. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time in the year to keep up with what they're trying to make you say that you have to keep up with. Just like the knife world. There's always here's the new Spyderco, and it looks exactly like the other 5,000 things that they have. I mean, there was one time I saw 3 Spyderco knives. They literally looked exactly the same. The steel was different, but there was a $100 price difference between the cheapest one and the most expensive one. Guitars and amps are the same way. And it's tough to keep up with all of it. And then you wonder why you're broke and miserable and full of anxiety. Well, you're not eating right. You're spending your money on the wrong things, and the media is constantly distorting your reality. No wonder we're depressed. No wonder we're ready to take care of things ourselves. And people that are shouting at the rooftops about rebellion can't even get out of their own way. Truth is painful, lies are delicious. That's right. You got guns, can do plenty about it. Those kind of comments is what makes the gun community look bad. It doesn't help the 2A cause. Um, so that's a dumb comment. So much fear tactics on the screen these days, whether it's trucking, politics, health, weather, or the economy. Right. And so, like my morning coffee show on the trucking channel, I try to look. I want to wake people to the fact that the cards are stacked against them, so you can make educated decisions on whether you should be an owner operator or not. And it doesn't do me any good to promote an owner operator lifestyle like and this is where I don't trust recruiters, is because recruiters will get you in the seat and tell you lies and let you find the reality yourself, and by the time you get the reality, you're out a bunch of money. I can't subscribe to that. I can't, if someone calls me and says, hey Steve, I want to become an owner operator, you're going to get bombarded with like 20 questions. But the most important one will be why. What's your end game? What's your goal, right? Are you prepared to handle the stress and realities of self-employment? And depending on their answers, then I start, okay, this is what I would do. This is what you need to do. This is what I've occurred in the past. This is how I was. And then you go from there. And there are people that I flat out told, you probably shouldn't own a truck, that ignore it, and then they struggle, and then they suffer, and then eventually they lose something. Whether it be their family, their health, or both. And it does me no good to paint a pretty picture when I know that behind the picture there's some realities that everybody needs to hear. I mean, I could use fear to sell dispatch services, or I can use but I don't want to be that guy. I just don't. So it's a certain mindset, and the gift of discernment is probably the biggest thing. If you recognize that you're not healthy, then recognize what's making you not healthy. If you recognize that you're going broke, you can recognize where you're going wrong in your finances. That's discernment. When you have 15 headlines thrown at you and none of them are good, look at the object of how that headline's written. Like if you say, okay, in downtown Springfield yesterday there was 2 men shot, suspects in custody. That's a news report. Okay? That's just a statement of facts. But then if it goes downtown last night there was 2 people of certain color shot by 2 people of certain color shot because of the availability of the guns, suspects in custody. You see where the truth is in there a little bit, but they're manipulating to you to think about other than the shooting. Now automatically your mind's going like, hey, what was the motive? Was the motive race because we brought that up? And in reality, it could have been 2 dudes that just didn't agree with each other, regardless of color, right? But the way that headline was written makes you, even if you're not, let's say you're the most, humble person that doesn't see people by color, that's still a manipulation tactic in your head. And that's the thing. And so I think in one of my community pages I showed a picture of two headlines side by side about how this president guy is going to cause World War III, and this president guy was going to cause World War III, and these were like 18 months apart. Because they want you afraid that whoever we elect is going to possibly put us in World War III, which is another fear tactic. Someone brought this up. My wife brought this up. If we sit there and say, well, we had to go in and attack kinetically so we wouldn't use nukes, it makes it look virtuous, right? Well, we don't want to use nukes, so we've got to strategically go and take over this country this way, you know. And some people believe that that's the only reason why nukes exist is so you can be virtuous in a full frontal attack. But these are all manipulation techniques. These are all things designed to manipulate your emotions and to ignore the fact that, you know what? There's two people at war. Regardless of the motive, you have to be prepared for that. You have to recognize that. Because while everybody's busy arguing about all the echo chamber things going on, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Marty says the earth is round, definitely more round than a bowling ball. Oop. Josh, what's up? And at the end of the day, you're broke, you're tired, you've completely lost the sense of your purpose. And you have these huge collection of things that are essentially going to rot in some thrift store, 20 years from now. Or end up on some eBay site. Because material things don't matter. That's not, that you looked for that to make you happy and it didn't make you happy. But man, they got those things sold to you because you were manipulated. Now, like security cameras, okay? How do they sell security cameras? Protect your home. Buy our camera. Well, unless the camera has the teeth, they don't protect anything. Cameras are easily dealt with. It doesn't protect anything. All it does is give you peace of mind. If I'm away from the home, then I have security cameras to make sure everything's good to go. But what am I going to do about it if I'm 1,000 miles from the house? Not much. Call 911, say, hey, I think there's a weird guy in my backyard. So cameras being sold as protection, all it is a peace of mind. I bought mine so my family could have peace of mind. And I made them understand that this doesn't protect us. It just makes us aware. Because most people, most criminals, if they truly want something, they know how to avoid cameras. What's another thing that's sold out of fear? Supplements. It's amazing. When I watch Weather Nation, they have their commercials are the greatest, right? And one of them is for this Super Beat supplement crap. It's literally a lump of some gelatin, like taffy tile chewy thing, and it shows this really beautiful hot chick going, I'm so healthy as I eat this gloop. And meanwhile, this unhealthy looking doctor tells you about how it's supposed to do this, this, and this, and this. And, and, and they go, the power of vegetables, the power of fruit, the power of nutrients that you get from this little tub of gelatinous taffy, right? And it shows people smiling, having a party, going, I'm so healthy because I eat this square gloop. And then they tell you about heart disease and joint pain and how it reverses all those things. They can't say it reverses everything, but it helps with. Eating this gloop will help you. It's a magic piece of gloop. Just ask guy that's in a doctor's suit that was paid because he's bartending in LA and trying to find any job that he can. And and make sure you get the hot chicks in there, the healthy lifestyle, just like these pharmaceutical commercials. It shows everybody just enjoying their life, oh, look, I take Ozempic, look how great my life is, and da-da-da. Meanwhile, they list like 1,800 side effects. And you're like, that sounds scary. But you either listen to the side effects or you watch all the people living their lives as happily as possible, Meanwhile, like going back to the gloop, how about you just eat real fruits and vegetables? If you think they're so full of nutrients, why do you have to have some shortcut gloop? How about you just eat healthy? How about you just not eat, the Big Mac and fries? How about that? How about you get just the meat? And if you're in the vegetables, just get the baked potato. I mean, it's no. If I can have the Big Mac and fries if I eat the gloop, because they sold me the gloop out of fear, and meanwhile you paid $30 for this tub of gloop, and then you read the ingredients and it's got worse crap than most natural, all natural foods, really. It might have more ingredients than that Big Mac that you keep eating. That's manipulation without accountability. YouTube is nothing but echo chambers. And you want to reduce stress? Get off the webs. Morning, my fellow Snorelordians. Buck Brown, what's up? Josh, I think I said hey to you. Heroes of the Road, what's up? Our parents started it all when they said Santa would bring us a lump of coal for Christmas if we didn't behave. That's a manipulation technique, right? That's a tactic. Someone took an old Norse tale and turned it into, you better do this or else. Now, there's some truth to the old Norse tale, but, and people use the Bible the same way, The more I read the Bible, the more I'm finding out that there are people that truly use it for truth, and there are people that will use it as a weapon of the wrong kind. Look at the Book of Eli is a great movie. Because the guy who is going at great lengths to get a Bible from the Denzel Washington character is manipulative, and he wants to use that book to manipulate his mass of people, his town of people. And so Denzel's like, you ain't doing that, and thus the chaos and slaughter ensues. And that's true. I mean, every religion faces that. Well, not every religion, but most religions have, this is how you control the masses. And next thing you know, people can't discern from the truth. There's so many lies made about the Bible, and so many things that people think come from the Bible that actually don't. And that's not how it works. You have to read to be able to get to the truth. And then if you find a group of people, like if someone's resentful of my health choices, or resentful of my YouTube channel, like on the trucking side, if you know, I look at where is that resentment coming from? And most people that are resentful towards Christians, it's because of bad Christians, manipulative Christians, the kind of Christians that weaponize the Word of God to manipulate you to do what they want. That's not, they're going to go to hell just as much, right? The world is hard, it's cold, it's agony. There are some elements to that, but you know what? There's also, you know, it's about the small moments. That's the key thing. That's the thing I've learned in my Stoic philosophy stuff that I've studied into. It's about the small events. Like just now, just talking to you guys, there's the robins are eating the bugs. They feel at peace because there's no cats back here. There's a bunny rabbit running around out there he's cautious of me, but he's not really worried about me. You know, you hear the dog barking in the background, but it's just a beautiful morning. I'm getting fresh air. There's barely a breeze. It's not hot yet. It will be later. This is what the essence of life is, and all these things that we've talked about, all this manipulation, they're trying to keep you from that. You know, even, well, I'm going to go camping. Okay, well, then now they're going to sell you a bunch of camping crap that you don't really need. Next thing you know, you haven't gone out camping one time and you've spent thousands of dollars on a bunch of equipment that you might use twice a year because your job sucks and you can't afford a vacation. But the small moments is what matters. And I think the internet tells us that we have to have these big moments, and that's not necessarily true. Like last night, we have this new cat shelf that we bought for the cat. And my son comes out and the cat starts meowing at him. He's sitting on that shelf thing. And my son grabs this little feather toy and starts playing with the cat. And this went on for about 5 minutes. And I cherish that memory because it was in the moment. It was in that moment. Nobody was concerned about politics. Nobody was concerned about health. No one was concerned about what was going on the internet. It was just him playing with the cat, making the cat happy, making him happy. That's what life is about. And these forces at play that try to obliterate your hope and obliterate your discernment, that's what they're looking to destroy. And once you can recognize that method of destruction, then you can do your best to counteract that. A friend has a great mission statement that I relate with. Bad people trying to do good things. Well, that's the thing. So I did a YouTube short. It's, you know, when you're doing good things, bad people will go against you. And we've seen a little bit of that in the comment section. If you're doing good things, bad people will go against you. If you're doing bad things, good people will go against you. Well, what determines good, what determines bad? Well, if there's truth and it's about life, then that's good. If it's about lies, manipulation, and death, it's bad. Because lies, manipulation, and death does not come from the Lord. It comes from the deceiver. The same one that tells you your inner voice, and pay attention if you deal with depression, the inner voice that tells you that you're not good enough, the inner voice that says you shouldn't be doing this good thing, the inner voice that keeps you addicted to the things. That inner voice is a deceiver lying to you, manipulating, no different than the abusive husband telling his wife that she's not good enough and that she can't leave the home. It's the same thing. And so eventually this woman's confidence is low and she feels like she can't get away. It's a mental prison, and that's what the deceiver's trying to do. It's trying to manipulate you to think that you're not good enough, and that is absolutely not true. Think about that. Anytime that you have a thought of negativity, it's usually a third person. If you're hungry, you said, I need to eat something. You don't sit there and say, well, you need to eat something, right? But if you have a voice that says, you're not good enough, that's not coming from you. That's not coming from God. And once you can kind of get that aspect, the blessing, so you read a horrible headline, like, okay, so let's say, okay, I've now discerned that there's two different headlines talking about each person is going to cause World War III. So originally I say, okay, it doesn't matter which we choose, there's that risk, right? What good of that comes out of that knowledge? Nothing. It might make me go out and buy more ammo. It might make me go out and buy more security cameras. It might make me go out and have a prepping homesteader plan. But at the end of the day, it's taking my happiness away. It's not giving life to me. It's taking away my hope. You take away my hope, and then that voice that tells you that you're not good enough will go in there further. That's why people become alcoholics. That's why people become addicts. That's why people become too addicted to the video games and the alcohol and the drugs and the food that's not good for us, because their voices are telling them that they're not good enough, so therefore they shouldn't take care of themselves, and that is not from God. That is from the deceiver. TJ agrees with me. I prefer to be harsh, stubborn, and unmanageable. Weeds our brittle spirits. There's a form of rebellion. It's a form of rebellion to go against these things. It's a form of rebellion. Look, here's the back of my shirt. Ready? I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. The back of my shirt says, "This world hates me." So what this is a Christian death metal band called Broken Hope, or Broken Flesh. Sorry, I'm thinking of Broken Hope. And I talked to the guitarist of this band when they played here, and he talked about how Christians are the most hated people on the planet. Like, you can have Islamophobia, you can be a Jew hater, you can be, and you can label that as hate speech. But if someone kills another person because they're a Christian, they don't call it a hate crime. They don't call it a terrorist event. And you guys have to understand that Christ was even hated by the church, because he was trying to find the truth, or he was teaching the truth, not trying to find, he found it. He was the truth. He is the truth. And what he found was he was a rebel. He was a rebellion. And all the disciples, they died horrible deaths, believing and teaching against the grain of what society believed at that time. And so good things in a world of bad is a form of rebellion. That's it. You don't fight atrocity with atrocity, which is what we do in war, right? And doing good things, helping people, but loving yourself, not self-abusing yourself, there's a difference, but loving yourself by not taking that alcohol, by not taking those drugs, by not eating that horrible food for you. That is a form of rebellion, because the mass manipulators don't want that. They don't want free think. They don't want free speech. They don't want you to rebel against overconsumption of everything. And that's where you got to fight. That's where you're, and it starts with your inner voice. It starts with your voice that tells you that you're not good enough. You rebuke it, you squash it down, and you say, no, I am worth it. Buck Brown says there's a black and white wolf in me, and I live and die by which one I feed. Yes. Thanks, Snorelord. I need to hear that, says Chief Freight. My little voice constantly reminds me of things I don't deserve. And see, the word deserve is another manipulation tactic. Oh, you deserve this Coca-Cola. You deserve a drink today. You deserve to go out and live it up a little bit. Have that birthday cake. You deserve it because you've been so good, right? And the reality is it's a tactic. We deserve nothing, in the sense that we have to go out and earn it. And the word deserve is a sense of pride. So what happens before a fall? Pride comes before a fall. So when somebody tells you that you do deserve something or don't deserve something, they're manipulating your pride. You know what? I've worked really hard this week, so I deserve to have this beer. Okay? But doesn't mean you need to drink 60 of them. But then the same tactic can be used, well, you know, I have not been a good person. I have not done good things, so I deserve this punishment that I'm inflicting upon myself. That's no good either. And so when you look at, like, you know, let's take a candy bar, for example. You deserve to have this candy bar because you've had a rough day. And then you have the candy bar, and what do you sit there and say to yourself? Well, I'm feeling the ill effects of this candy bar, so therefore I deserve it because I screwed up. That word deserve just is slowly killing you, whatever direction you're in. You know, people say, well, it's your birthday. You deserve this. You deserve that. I'm like, no, I just revolved around the sun one more time, and I've managed to not, you know, do bad things. And that's just what we do. You know, I don't sit there and, you know, I mean, if the word deserve was in my vocabulary heavily, I would be like, well, my YouTube videos deserve, Pride would say, my YouTube videos deserve to be watched more. And people say that to me all the time. Steve, man, I wish, man, your word is good, man. You should be out there. You deserve to have more attention than what you get. And I'm like, it's tough for me to process that, because I've worked so long to get my ego and pride down that the word deserve seems like a punch in the face. No, I don't deserve my YouTube to be bigger because I don't put a whole lot of effort into it. But even if I did, I deserve my YouTube to be bigger because I put a lot of effort into it. That's still a way for me to go, to negatively talk myself. Well, if I'm a great YouTuber and I don't get any views, then I probably deserve to not get famous. And so that word deserve can be manipulated. And that, you got to be careful with that word. On the road to recovery. What's up, Kevin? Let all bitterness and wrath and anger, clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. Yeah, and look, on the road there, Kevin, a comeback is possible after learning to love oneself. And and look, Dying Breed, i.e. Mike Williams, he said it earlier in one of my other videos, I think on my 40th day or 39th day, that you have to love yourself over the addiction. You have to love yourself, love your family over the addiction. And that negative voice that is talking to you, telling you you're not good enough, that's not the voice to listen to. It's not going to let you recover. Oh, mine goes a lot deeper than a candy bar or Coke. Mine attacks my marriage and how I don't deserve her because of my past addictions. I don't deserve to live. How do I, because others are struggling? There is, look, when you talk to like people that survived like mass casualty events, like the sole survivor of a 200-person plane crash, they have what they call survivor's guilt. And the most number one thing, and Kevin, you can probably agree to this, the most number one thing that you could possibly do that will help everything is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, man. You've made mistakes. You only know what you know. You know, if a little kid touches a stove and burns himself, that kid learned a valuable lesson. He didn't know. Now, he could have been told it was hot. He didn't process it. So the blessing became the lesson. But he only knew what he knew. You could tell people things all day long. Doesn't mean they know it. I think that's the biggest misconception. I tell drivers all the time what to do. This is what you need to do. But a lot of times they have to learn things the hard way. And you only know what you know, right? If someone doesn't know how to back that truck next to you, you don't know how they were trained. You don't know what their personality was during training. You don't even know if they were even trained. And then later on, let's say that person, takes out a hood and costs someone thousands of dollars, and and that person dwells on that, but never learns from it. That's no good. But if they learn to forgive themselves, and if the other person has forgiven them, then now they can move forward. Now they can start healing. What do you do when forgiveness becomes apathy? I've dealt with it. Let me look up something here. Let's look at the definition of apathy. Apathy is a state of indifference or lack of feeling, emotion, interest, or concern about something. It can also be described as a lack of motivation or goal-directed activity compared to previous behavior. People with apathy may also lack spontaneity, emotional expression, or the desire to do anything that involves thinking or their emotions. Apathy can be a symptom or a complication of several neurological conditions, including Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, strokes. So let's look at the foods that are causing that thing, right? Apathy can also be associated with mental health problems, traumatic brain injury, or schizophrenia. Some experts consider apathy to be a syndrome, a collection of symptoms that often happen together but aren't necessarily a specific condition. So, there are many causes of apathy, and forgiveness, if it's true forgiveness, shouldn't cause that. Look, here's the deal. So, shortly after my father passed away, which was a traumatic experience, I became depressed. I became apathetic. I didn't care about anything. I wasn't motivated. My marriage was slipping, and and I felt disconnected. And so a doctor prescribed Wellbutrin. And I might have told you this story, Sterling, but listen. For 2 to 3 weeks, I felt great. It allowed me this clarity that actually saved my marriage. I was able to say the right things, do the right things, and realize just how much I had been messing things up because of my apathy. And I still struggle with apathy today. I was just talking about this with my wife last night. There are moments when I know I should be doing something, but I don't. We all have that. It's human nature, right? And so, after about three or 4 weeks, I started to have, and they tell you this in the side effects, I started to have thoughts of offing myself. Okay? That's the only time in my life I've actually thought that. And what had happened was this clarity came about me that realized just how much of a screw up I had been. And now I started to blame myself for everything. Because that voice that told me that I wasn't good enough was now loud and clear and was telling me to do bad things. So I immediately, they tell you not to do this, but I immediately got off of that. Never refilled my prescription, stayed off of it. And what I've learned over the years through teachings and going to church and because, not every pastor is going to lead you to salvation. What I've learned is that I had to learn to forgive. I learned this before I started following Christ. I started learning about forgiveness. I had to learn to forgive myself. And that is where the secret sauce is. That's where the truth is. We all only know what we know, right? We only know what we know. You learn from history, but you don't really feel like you learned from history. And when I started to be able to forgive myself, that was when I could clear my mind to do the things to make it better, right? Think about this. Many people are killed in the line of passion, right? And for the meaning of passion, right? Like you screwed my girlfriend, so I'm going to kill you. That happens all the time. Forgiveness is for your own soul, not for theirs. So if take a scenario, well, maybe not. Instead of going to kill that person that hurt you, if you forgive them, now you no longer have the anger towards them. Yeah, it still sucked, it still happened, but now you're not wanting to go to where they work and take a cram to their throat, right? Because that kind of anger, that kind of hatred will kill you. Let's say that person does that. kills the person that messed around. Well, now you're looking at a life of crime, or a life of evading the police, or a life of in prison. And then the things that affect that, all because the one person couldn't forgive the other person. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. And I once had a dream of somebody that I truly hated that brought a lot of trauma in my early life. And in that dream, that person said, Steve, you have to learn why, sorry, it said reconnecting. One of the many reasons why I became basically a food addict. And so I try not to paint the rosy picture, like if you go carnivore, everything's great, everything's perfect, you know. I don't want to do that, because it's not. It's every day's a battle, and sometimes you get tired of fighting. The diet makes it better. Now, changing my diet was better than what Wellbutrim did it, because it allowed me to have positive thoughts. It allowed the positive voice in my head to be louder. It allowed the spiritual side to waken up and say, you know what, there's a bigger picture at play that you need to think of. Yep, had the same thoughts while on Wellbutrim, riding down the road one night, and started thinking how big of a problem I could cause by driving this fuel tanker into a bridge. Thomas Wilson's getting ready to spend more money. All right, Mr. Wilson. Oh. So it's that's where fasting comes in. I'm not just talking like from food. I'm talking like do something for 30 days. I usually pick the number 40. And do that one thing that helps your life for 30 days straight. Whether it's getting, like Sterling got rid of Facebook. That was probably a good move for him. And you know what? He did. I don't think he misses it. You don't miss Facebook, do you, Sterling? When I feel like Facebook is a problem in my life, I go 30 days without it. I predominantly justify my use of Facebook to keep contact with friends, family, and shows, and people who have passed away. Like I just had someone in our scene pass away recently. I wouldn't have not known about it if it wasn't. Well, no, I would have known about it because I saw a friend of mine at Walmart that told me about it. But you know, most of the time when someone in our scene dies, I don't hear about it because, you know, if I was on Facebook, I wouldn't hear about it. So, yeah, Facebook is dead to you. You saw how negative it was in your life, and you got rid of it. And there are people that can't do that. And so that's a victory. You took care of something that put negative thoughts and emotions into your head. And that's a great victory, a victory that I haven't even won yet. So that's good. You have to believe that you're worth something. Self-love is a requirement. And most people mistake self-pride for self-love, and that's not true. So, on a lighter note, speaking of apathy, I have been apathetic towards the guitar. And once I figure out why, then I think I'll be able to start writing music coherently again versus just messing around with riffs on a live feed, you know, once a month. Sterling sent me a great video. Obviously, it's a solo artist guy promoting his new Schecter guitar, which I like Sate guitars. I own 2 of them. And I'm just trying to figure things out. You know, the pedal that Sterling got me has really been helpful, but now I've got to create structure where I'm not just playing around doing random things all the time. Once I can get that out of the way, then I think I'll be writing music again. Beyond that, there's really not much else to say. So, any comments, questions, or concerns? If not, I'll end this feed. It is starting to get warm out here. If not, we'll take off. I appreciate people have been in here. Even the trolls, because they help the algorithms. Thank you. Even the trolley-polies. I think that's a new term I just come up with. Trolley-polies. Because they're like roly-polies. What do roly-polies do? When you lift up that piece of plywood you left in the yard, it's like roly-polies, right? They live in the underneath the platform, underneath the surface. They live underneath the surface. And what do they do when you confront them? They roll around, they curl up, they shrivel. Trolley-polies. Buck Brown recently reunited with the old band. That's cool. Chief Freeholler says, "Great, have a great one, everyone." I did get Facebook Messenger to keep in contact with them. Yeah, I mean, you know, I still talk to Sterling on Facebook Messenger. I think what one of the many problems with Facebook is that we tend to like not check up on our friends for real instead of just on Facebook, right? So like I have a sister that's not on Facebook. She refuses to be on it. So I have to like actually call her or text her to see how she's doing. You know. And you know, it's just like shows, right? You know, metal bands, they promote shows on Facebook, then they wonder why no one shows up. Well, you got to do it old school too. You got to put out the flyers, you got to put out the word and other platforms, and you know, people just like, well, I posted on Facebook. How come you didn't hear about it? Well, maybe because I'm not living on Facebook 16 hours a day like you are. So, I haven't seen a roly poly in many years. All you gotta do, Chief Ray Holler, is put a piece of wood out in the yard and then lift it up after about 6 months, and you'll have like 20 of them. So, all right, Kevin, you take care, man. 30-minute timer, guitar live, 1 effect allowed. 1 effect. That's a good idea. What I need to do, okay, it's human nature to know what you need to do, but don't do it. This is me. I'm speaking from experience, right? So have some forgiveness for me. Have some patience for me. But what I need to do is to reacquaint myself with my drum machine. Now, the little amp that I would put through the drum machine is gone. So I need to come up with a speaker system or something to put the drum machine through so I can play along with some drums. I think that would be more interesting for the live feeds, and I think it would help me structure. The drummer that I do hang out with, that, you know, is the drummer of the band that I supposedly have, he's a busy person. We've done a couple of live feeds together, but there's no structure. But I need to reacquaint myself with the drum machine so I can utilize it. And then I also need to find a way to be able to play it on a speaker. They make these great. I've seen this. I don't know if you've seen these, Sterlings, but there's I have a PA. It's just too big for the house. I'm talking like in my bedroom, right? There's these amps that are Bluetooth enabled, so you can like, it's just like a box with some knobs, and then you can you get on this app and you can create any amp you want. I think that's kind of cool. But so these little boxes, I wouldn't mind having that little orange cube, you know, little tiny thing. I can put something through that, um, but now I'll figure it out. Fender amps. I need to figure out an easier, safer way to wash top of the condo sleeper. Yeah. Power washer with the long brush. But my relationship with me playing music is kind of like a boyfriend and girlfriend that break up and then get back together all the time. And I think the bottom line is my musical issues are distraction. Sell the acoustic. I need to get a different acoustic. I like I want to get a really good acoustic, but between paying for these car repairs and the belt tightening up a little bit on dispatch and all that, so I don't feel that little voice says I don't deserve to get a different guitar, acoustic guitar, but at the same time I'm having trouble justifying the cost. So Sterling, I'm sending you a text after this live, says my name is nobody. So, oh, my fasting app just told me I've only got an hour. I've been doing this fasting thing. I don't brag about it because, number one, it makes my mom nervous. My mom's like, you can't be fasting for not eating for 23 to 40 hours. You can't do that. And then also in the Bible says you don't really brag about your fasting. But I have implemented it, and it's kind of helped me get over this little stall hump that I've been dealing with a little bit, even though I've been carnivore. So that's been good. Sell acoustic amp for drum machine. You know, here's the thing. I've got this Crate GX12 or something, and what's my Ibanez one. And it needs a speaker. So there was a local car stereo dealer that was had this going out of business sale, and I thought about going out there and picking up a 12-inch speaker. The acoustic won't bring me much money. I've learned the hard way not to sell gear. Especially in this economic environment that we're in, ain't nobody giving me anything for that thing, what I have. Now I have thought, like Costco has this great like karaoke speaker, like kind of what you used at your reception, Sterling. It's like $100. I thought about picking that up because it's Bluetooth, so we can use it anywhere. I can use it outside if we're grilling, or I can, you know, instead of hooking up the whole PA if I want to listen to music while I'm working out in the garage. Like I do that a lot. So I couldn't justify that cost either because, you know, but the drum machine, or I could just go, the amp I have, it's at the church, so. No, she cannot drum. 30 years, I thought 130 was a lot for an acoustic. Getting PlayStation and Guitar Hero was cheaper. No, not really. You can get a good acoustic for about, I think I paid like $500 for mine, or no, it's like $400. Either way, I chose wrong. The guitar is supposed to choose the person, like kind of like a pet. You don't choose the pet; the pet chooses you. And it didn't help that I played an expensive guitar and went against my own rule and picked that up before I don't know. The acoustic place that I picked up, it's called the Acoustic Shop. They have a YouTube channel. they have like a 30-day guarantee, and I went beyond that 30-day before I realized I didn't like this guitar. Meg White can drum, so can Wife Lord. I can drum, but I can't drum and play guitar at the same time. Even though I know there's a couple of people on TikTok that can. I'm not that guy. So. I do have a Bluetooth. I don't know what, I haven't hooked up the drum machine to see what that would sound like to it. But again, I got to reacquaint to learn how to use it. So we'll figure it out, man. We'll be all right, Sterling. We'll be all right. So, anyways, guys and gals, thanks for watching. This video will go private for a second, and then I'll bring it back to public. I haven't figured everything out, but I figured a couple of things out that might work for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Straight for today, over tomorrow. Peace.